Ready to sew. Alright, here I am in Iowa, where I will be sewing for the next 2 weeks with my mom. Say hi, Mom! Hello! And those are my kids playing in the background. You will hear them a lot in this vlog, I am sure. These stained glass window panes were made by my dad. And he still has a couple to finish in these sliding doors. If we go through, this is my mom's quilting studio, where she has very graciously set up a machine for me to sew on. Alright, coming to you from my parents' bathroom, but there's a full-length mirror, so I'm going to use it. Here is the scoop neck blouse. I really like it. I think it's going to be very cute and flattering and hopefully comfortable. You can see the side opening here does meet, but only because the back is completely loose. The pattern does call for some tucks. There are 4 of them at the back, and I sewed them in and tried it on, and then it would not meet at the waist. I didn't get any footage of that try on, but I took out those tucks and now it does fit, and I think it's going to work. This will have a placket with snaps on it. I haven't sewn that in yet, but I did go ahead and add a little peplum at the bottom with some bias, because I had extra bias cut already from the ties on the other blouse, just because I think this pattern is very short-waisted, because I had already added like 2 inches to the length at the waist, and it was not enough to tuck into a waistband, so that's why I've added that little bias peplum, and now it does tuck in. So the only issue I need to solve now is that the sleeves are very tight. So I brought my scraps with me, and I'm going to go cut 2 little triangle gussets and add them in under the sleeves, and then I will be able to move my arms much more freely. This is, ooh, yeah. So to add a gusset for this underarm seam, which comes in at an angle and therefore has this little snippet so that the hem is the proper width at the top. My mom helped me with coming up with this shape for the gusset, and I've already done the other sleeve, and that worked beautifully. So now when I turn up the hem, it's pretty much straight up and down. The sleeve is no longer tapering in at the bicep, which was making it very tight and uncomfortable. So I've given myself a good 3 inches at the hem. I think that will be much better. Mom and I spent the morning sewing, and I did not film a single thing, but I got some stuff done, and I'll show you later. Right now, we are going to take the kids to the swimming pool because it's actually hot enough for once this week. Okay. It's actually hot enough to go swimming. There's a brief break in the rain, so we're gonna take it and spend some time at the pool. So I'll see you later. Okay, we're back from the pool, and I figured since I was changing out of my swimming suit anyway, I might as well take the opportunity to show off my finished blouse. Got it done last night, even the snaps on the placket. My mom encouraged me to finish before I went to bed so that I would have it done, and I do. I even hemmed the peplum, so it is finished, and the sleeves are much more comfortable now, and I think they still look perfectly fine. I did leave it untucked to show you what it looks like, and here's how it looks tucked in. And I'm very happy with it. So this is my sister's Kiren Doll. I brought her with me to Iowa because I am giving her back. I have had custody of both of my sister's American Girl dolls for at least a decade, probably longer. But Elise wants hers back, so I brought her with me, and I want to give her not just the doll, but a change of clothes, and I do have the dirndl outfit. That's technically mine because I had this outfit for my Samantha doll, even though it's for Kirsten, but I had it before Elise got her Kiren Doll. But that's neither here nor there. It should go with Kirsten. It belongs with Kirsten. However, I only have the skirt and the little bodice, vest, I'm not sure what to call it. The blouse that came with that outfit has long since disappeared. But I do have Kirsten's patterns. My mom got these long ago, and I'm using the bodice of the school dress pattern to make a little blouse. So I'm about to attach the sleeves.
But get away, Mama. Mama.
She brought me ice cream. So that's what I've been working on today. It's fascinating going back to my roots because my love of sewing really comes from making dresses for my American Girl doll and my sister's American Girl dolls and my cousin's American Girl doll. And I haven't done this kind of sewing in a very long time, so there's a lot of nostalgia happening here, and I kind of want to make a bunch of doll dresses now. I'm gonna have to hold myself back because I do have more vintage sewing to do. The next thing I'm gonna work on will be the mint green blouse. This will happen as soon as I'm done with this blouse. Promise. Location change. I am now visiting my sister for the weekend, and say hi, Elise.
Hello.
We've been watching The Office and also listening to the Office Ladies podcast while we are doing our rewatch, which is quite fun. And behind me, you will see a lot of blankets because Elise is the chapter coordinator for the Project Linus initiative. And I will put a link in the description all about that if you want to donate to Project Linus. It is a very worthy cause. It is an organization that collects new homemade blankets for children who may be in need of comfort. And as you can see, they get a lot of blankets, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, conveniently, Elise has the exact same make and model of the sewing machine I use all the time at home, so I was able to bring my bobbins that I'd already wound for my patchwork dress, and I am going to finish it up here. So we're just having a girls' day. All right, I finished it. Yay! Oh, I love it so much. This transition from the button placket up to the collar was so fiddly, and I had to redo it like 3 or 4 times. I ended up hand sewing this little seam here on both sides, but I think it was worth it in the end. I really like it. It's got the sash. Hold on, the back is really cute, but it's hard to film my own back. There it is. I like it. Okay, Elise pointed out that she's here and she could film for me, so here it is. Full thing. So I'm still at Elise's. We are still sewing, and I am wearing the dress I finished yesterday. I'm so happy to have it back in my closet. It's making me very happy. It's so comfortable. It's got pockets out the wazoo. Anyway, the only downside of the fact that I finished it yesterday is it's the only sewing project I brought with me to Elise's house. I left everything else at our parents' house in my mom's sewing studio, so I'm out of projects to work on. But never fear, I have found another project because Elise gifted me this beautiful silk, which was in the form of 2 very long curtain panels that someone else gifted to her, and she didn't want these ice blue ones. She knew that they were very much my color and that I would want them. She was also gifted by the same person these chartreuse silk curtains, and chartreuse is her color, not mine. So she'll make something fun out of these for herself, and I get to make something for myself from these. And I'm going to make a robe. Just a plain old T-shaped basic robe. I believe it would have been called a banyan or banyan? Not sure the pronunciation. In the 18th century, very common to have, you know, expensive fabrics made into what's basically a dressing gown. And I've been wanting one for years. I had hoped that my tea gown that I made last year, the Edwardian tea gown, would be that for me. But because I did make it historically with the under nightgown-ish looking bit attached to the robe part, so it looks like 2 pieces. It looks like a robe over a nightgown, but it's not, it's just one. So that doesn't actually fill the niche that I was hoping it would, in that I don't wear it in my day-to-day life when I'm just lounging around the house. I wish I could wear it for that, but it isn't really practical because it does have a train, and like I said, it's not just a robe I can throw on whatever I'm wearing underneath, pajamas or whatever. This is going to be just a robe I can throw on over my pajamas and lounge about in luxury. So that's what I'm going to work on next. I spent yesterday evening, after I had already finished my dress, unpicking the lining and all of the hems from these curtains. And actually, I'm also going to use the linings for other things. These were blackout curtains, so they have a very thick, I think it's actually just cotton flannel. I'm gonna do a burn test and find out, but if it is, I can definitely use that. And then the lining is just a plain weave, probably also cotton. That's what it feels like to me. Like I said, I'll confirm with a burn test. These I'm going to wash before I make anything from them. But I mean, this lining will be great for linings. It's a little bit heavier duty than like a a cotton poplin or muslin that I would make, you know, like a summer dress from. But that will be good as a base for structured bodices and things like that, like for a flat lining. The flannel, if it is 100% cotton, which I'm hoping it is, I might turn it into reusable napkins, because I do make my own napkins that I use in my house, and it would always be good to have more. I will find something to do with these lining fabrics. I'm gonna overlock them so that I can wash them probably when I get home. And then I will cut out my silk robe and sew it together. All right, I'm gonna do a burn test over Elise's little antique stove here. Does that smell like burning paper?
I'm often over here.
Alright, so we've got black ash. That typically indicates a natural fiber. I think this one is cotton. It might have a finish on it that makes it smell a little chemically. Alright, now for the flannel, which I'm less confident about. Oh, it does burn though. Ooh. Yeah, it looks like it's burning, not melting. That might be cotton. I don't want to touch it when it's still hot. Yeah, that's crumbling to ash. There's no bead. So I think these are both cotton. Hooray! There was some fading on the silk, as you would expect from it being curtains. This was most apparent along the long selvage edges, with the center of the fabric still being pretty even in color. For this project, the color variation really did not bother me, so I didn't try to cut around it at all. I used a video tutorial from Willoughby and Rose for the basic measurements I would need to make my banyan, and then I just kind of went full steam ahead. It's a good thing I had 2 curtain panels to use, because one was not quite long enough to get the full length of the robe I wanted doubled. So I ended up with a seam along the top of the shoulders, instead of it being cut on the fold. I did want extra width at the hem, so I went ahead and added the long triangles cut from the sides back to it, just turned upside down so they were wider at the hem. Ooh. Yes, yes, that will do. Ooh. I like it. That worked. Okay, I'm back at Mom and Dad's, and I'm actually still using Elise's sewing machine. She let me take it with. It's her backup machine, don't worry. But I had already wound the bobbin and was in the middle of working on my new banyan wrapper, silk robe, whatever you want to call it. So I'm just gonna finish it up real quick. Finish it I did, and promptly put it on for the rest of my sewing that evening. It is very comfortable and fun to wear. And yes, I did finally get back to working on the mint green blouse. Conveniently, the thread I had purchased while out shopping with Elise was the perfect color for the silk robe and the mint green blouse. So I've been in Iowa for over a week now, and you may notice I have not been vlogging much. And the reason for that is partly that I'm on vacation and I also have my kids, so we're doing stuff and I don't always have sewing time necessarily. Another reason is that I'm in my mom's sewing studio and it is attached to my parents' house. It's part of the house, and that is very different from my sewing setup, where my studio is a completely separate building and has no bathroom and no kitchen. This is great in some ways, of course, because it's very convenient to the rest of the house. There's a bathroom, there's a kitchen, there's a coffee maker right inside the actual studio. So that makes it very convenient to sew in my pajamas, late nights, early mornings, not a problem. I don't like to be on camera in my pajamas and without doing my hair and makeup anymore, because I've gotten really used to sewing in the afternoons when I'm already fully ready for the day and have done my hair and makeup, so I know I'm going to look nice on camera. So it's just a completely different mindset. And of course, because this studio, this room, is attached to the rest of the house, there's noise from the other people in the house, two of whom are my children and don't really understand, hey, mama's gonna film something quick, be quiet. So, I mean, I haven't even been really bothering with that. I'm just accepting that there's going to be noise in the background, and that's fine. It's just a vlog. But it's just harder for me to get over that mental hurdle to be able to pick up the camera and say anything, because I'm just so used to having complete quiet, well, unless there's neighbors doing yard work or people driving way too fast down my residential street, revving their engines for no reason. Anyway, I have been sewing. I did finish my complete, surprise project that Elise gave me. So my silk robe is now done and I love it. It's very comfortable and feels so luxurious. I'm gonna wear it all the time. Maybe not in the summer because it's silk, so it is quite warm. I was actually wearing it last night after everyone else had gone to bed and I was doing some sewing and just to feel decadent, And then I was, after, I don't know, like 20 minutes or so, I was like, it's really warm in here. It's weird, it's been so comfortable this whole trip, and why is it so warm suddenly? And then I realized, oh yeah, I've wrapped myself entirely in silk. That'll do it. Speaking of the weather, if you've been watching the news at all, you may know that Iowa has been inundated with rain and flooding, and it's bad. It's not flooding in this particular area, other than people have water in their basements, and there's ponds in fields that are not usually there, and it has rained a lot since I arrived, on top of all of the rain they had been getting and did not need any more of. But it's sunny and gorgeous today, and the forecast is going to be hot and sunny for the next week, so hopefully things will dry out and there won't be any more rain for a while, because we don't need it here. But the temperature has been a lot more pleasant than it was in Virginia when I left, and still is in Virginia from what my husband tells me. He's coming up this weekend, so I am going to get to see him soon, and I'm very excited. So the way we scheduled this trip was so that he could take off a long weekend and come and spend time with the family. My town does a July Jubilee celebration, my hometown, and it's always the weekend after the 4th of July. So instead of taking off the 4th weekend, which everybody wants, he's taking off this coming weekend. And my dad flew out and actually spent some time with my brother working on the car that they are restoring together. It's my dad's old car. It's his 1975 Chevrolet Caprice convertible. I hope I got that right. And my brother has been restoring it. He has his own YouTube channel. If you are interested in vintage car repair, you should check it out. And my dad loves this stuff, so he's been helping out and visiting and tinkering on the car whenever possible. So he flew to Virginia, spent a week with my brother working on the car, and then he and I drove my minivan with the kids out here so that I didn't have to make that 2-day drive by myself. But then I also didn't have to fly with the kids, which is its whole other adventure, I will call it. And this way I could bring all of my sewing projects that I wanted to, didn't have to worry about paying for luggage. And Brian, my husband, didn't have to take off 2 weeks of work, but I could spend as much time as I wanted. Alright, I hear the grandfather clock, and also my kids are awake, so I'm gonna cut this one off here and check in with you again later. I did make really good progress on the mint green blouse last night. I finally stopped and went to bed, not because I was tired, but because the right and wrong side of this fabric are distinct, and yeah, I can tell them apart, but I have to really pay attention to which is which, and I did not want to screw anything up by working into the wee hours of the morning when I'm not cognitively at my best. This is a weird blouse, by the way, so I have to actually follow the instructions, which I'm not used to doing. Oh, and I did bound buttonholes on this blouse, because that's what the pattern called for, and I thought that would look really nice. These buttonholes are actually a bit larger than they need to be for the size of the buttons I'm using. And yes, I did base the entire blouse on the fact that I had 3 buttons that were the exact color I wanted to use for this blouse. But the nice thing about bound buttonholes is I could always just close them up a little bit more by tacking the edges together. So I think that will be just fine. the most complicated neckline I've ever sewn in my life. Okay, it is time to go button hunting in my mom's sewing studio. I alluded to my mom's button stash a few vlogs ago, and now I'm going to ask her to tell you all about it.
All right, this is from the Lansing Button Company, and it was the method that they used for selling buttons at Infeld's variety store here in Lake Mills, Iowa, when I moved to town. And this was the whole unit, and it also, at the time that I got it, it had a display portion of it that was a diagonal piece of plexiglass that started here and went straight diagonally back against the wall. And underneath that plexiglass were displayed these cards with every button and the number inside the drawers where you could find that button and the price of each individual button.
Oh, wow.
So some of them were, so they're arranged by color.
I never looked at the prices before.
Here's an
That's so
expensive one, 35 cents each.
Oh my. So this was in
So I
1980
acquired,
when you moved here?
I moved here in 1980, and Infeld's was one of the stores, like a general store, so they had household goods, but they had a small fabric and notion section.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to buy buttons, yeah, you pull out the right drawer, and each compartment, you can see, has a number on it. So you would look for that number, and they had, it was labeled here on each drawer too, so they were displayed by, or stored by color.
Mm-hmm.
So this pink and red drawer,
So pretty.
so you would find the number of your button and pick out as many as you needed, and a spare or two if you wanted. But you bought the exact number of buttons you needed. You didn't buy them on a card. They were... So here's the greens and tan buttons. Many different styles. Whoops. From 4-hole buttons, 2-hole buttons, and lots of different shades and colors.
And shank buttons.
And shank buttons. So Infeld's closed in the early 90s. I don't remember for sure exactly what year, but it was owned by Margaret Nepstead, and when she closed, I had been a pretty loyal customer. I had bought a lot of fabric. They had a limited supply of, but I had bought lots of buttons there, and so when they closed, they were selling out everything, and Margaret Nepstead, the owner, came to me and said, "Would you like my button display box?" And I don't remember exactly, this was the early 90s, but I'm pretty sure she sold the whole works. The case, the buttons, and then the display, the diagonal display case that was on top, to me for $25.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so every drawer, now some of these I added in because they have these very handy little cardboard boxes, so they hold, so some of them were empty and some I have emptied out, not very many really.
I've probably emptied out a couple.
But so I have thrown buttons of my own in off of cards and stuff throughout the years, but most of them are still from the button box, and I chip away at them. A lot of these on this shelf, the white ones got used more than anything else, so a lot of these have been filled in with stuff of mine.
sure.
Just the history of... Whoops, I already looked at that one.
Ooh, the purples.
Not very many purples.
No, not very many.
But some yellows, some roses. So that is my button box, and it has moved to a couple different houses with me, but...
And I occasionally send you a scrap of fabric in the mail and ask for a specific number of a specific color of buttons to send back to me. Or I just browse when I'm here, visiting.
That too.
Which I'm actually going to do right now.
All right.
Oh look, these are the buttons I used for my teal blouses and my teal skirt and pants. These are the buttons I ended up choosing, which for some reason I did not record. So I'm encountering a problem which seems to be common among these 1940s patterns that I'm trying to make blouses out of dress patterns. And that is, they tend to taper in at the waist, at the side seams, because they're meant to be attached to a skirt to make a dress. And I'm trying to make them into blouses, so I'm extending the bodice as far as I can with the fabric I have available. But if I'm just extending the tapered seam, it's still going to be tapered at the waist. It's not going to, it doesn't, I need it to flare out again for my hips, because if I actually close the front to where it should button, it's doing this. And I don't really, I actually tried this on before I flat felled the side seams because I wanted to make sure it was going to fit before I did that work. And I thought about leaving it open from the waist down and doing a little vent at the sides, but because I wanted to do flat felled seams because this fabric is prone to fraying and I wanted to have nice clean seam finishes, I've done flat felled seams on all of the other seams. Want it to look nice. There's no really good way to go from a flat felled seam to a vent unless I press both seams away from each other and fell them down individually, which is an option, and I think I did that on the other blouse I made from this fabric. But here's what this pattern is doing in the back. It's got that yoke with the pleat at the top, so there's a lot of fullness in the back above the waist. So I think what I'm going to do this time for this particular blouse is actually put vents in the back. And I'm gonna have to make that up as I go, so wish me luck, I guess. I do think I like how the neckline is looking, which is good because it was very finicky and a lot of work, and I don't think I'm ever gonna make this pattern again because So I just realized I have made a mistake in my blouse at the neckline, so now I get to fix it. This neckline is just haunting me. So on this step I was supposed to baste this, and I top stitched it instead, and now I'm here and it wants me to top stitch. It says edge, it wants me to top stitch all around here, and I've already done that, but I really should do it through all of the layers so that the facing is held down on top of the contrast fabric. So I am actually going to redo it because I discovered that I did not keep an even margin, and it's particularly noticeable at the shoulders. This one's a lot wider than this one. Not that I think anyone is going to notice, but since I'm going to undo the stitching anyway, I might as well fix it. So I'm going to. And no, your eyes are not deceiving you. There is a stain here, which came from the iron, and I'm really hoping I can wash it out after I have finished this garment. We're gonna try. My mom took me fabric shopping today, so now I have a haul to show you. If you are ever in Rochester, Minnesota, I can highly recommend Ginny's Fine Fabrics. They have an amazing selection of very high-end fabric, and yes, it is high-end pricing as well, but it's nice fabric, and the staff is extremely knowledgeable and helpful and just super friendly and wonderful. So I had a wonderful experience today. Let me show you what I got. The first thing I found was this beautiful plaid, and it was in the sale fabric bin. It was labeled $10 a yard, but it had a red dot, which meant it was half off. So I got 4 yards at $5 a yard, and I think this is going to be perfect for my Meet Samantha dress that I want to make for my daughter. It is not the exact Samantha plaid, but it is a close enough match that I think it's definitely going to read as Samantha in a full dress form. I also got this beautiful teal blue cotton bottom weight twill. It's not exactly a denim, it's finer than that. It has a sheen to it. It's really, really lovely. And this is for a secret project, as is this black, also cotton bottom weight twill weave. These two are together going to be a secret project, and you can put your guesses in the comments if you have any idea of what you think it might be. I also got 3 yards of this beautiful blouse weight linen. This was $19 a yard, which is a really good price for linen. So I definitely snatched some up because I want to make myself some more bias cut linen slips. I have several that I've made that I wear all the time under my dresses and also under my skirts and blouses. And then I got this remnant, which I just couldn't pass up. So it's 5/8 of a yard, but it's 56 inches wide, 100% cotton sateen. But look at the selvage, which has the printed name of the cotton, and it is super fine. It feels like silk. It's just lovely, and I think it'll be just enough to make myself a really nice blouse. And I also got a couple of tassels because I can't pass up tassels. So that is my haul for today from Ginny's Fine Fabrics. You can find them on Facebook. I will put a link in the description. And they told me that they ship fabric all over the world, so you can check out their selection online, and if anything appeals to you, you can order some. Obviously this video is not sponsored. I just got to visit their store today and was very impressed. They pulled threads to cut the fabric right along the grain line for me. I've never seen that in a fabric store before. I was kind of blown away. So yeah, just a very satisfied customer here. Okay, it's time to put vents in the back of this blouse. I admit I am a little nervous because while I know what I'm doing in theory, I am definitely going rogue because that's not what this pattern has intended. Because I'm making a blouse from a dress pattern. Anyway, I did bring all my extra scraps of this fabric with me when I was packing for Iowa. It's always good to have the scraps on hand, and this is one of the reasons why. So I should be able to get a fairly good length from this. This is 2 pieces, and I'll make a little vent just like would be in a long sleeve cuffed shirt. So I have done that before. This is the pin. Here is center back. I marked this on myself when I was wearing it, where my waist was approximately, and about where I thought I would want to put the vents. I'll put one on either side so they'll be symmetrical, but I think I'm actually going to go up about a centimeter. But like I said, I've got enough length here because it's going to be doubled over, so I can go up just a smidge more and I think it will be fine. I'm nervous because I don't want to make them too high, because I want the entirety of the vent and below to tuck into the waistband of the skirt or pants I'm going to wear this with. But I also don't want to make them too low because I need the extra room in the waist itself. So, and I'm going to also basically have a vent in the front because I only have 3 buttons, and then where there would be another button is going to be the waistband of the skirt or pants. So that will just also be open at the center front. I'm hoping that will be enough. We'll see. Okay, here's the part that makes me nervous, because I need to cut this slit before I can sew this onto it. So I think I'm actually just going to cut it to here and baste this on. Keep this long, I don't have to cut this right away, and try it on and see if I want to go higher, because I can always go higher. I'll just have to remove it, move it up, and it'll be kind of a pain, but at least that way I'll know. Side note, these scissors are so beautiful. My dad got them for my mom as a present. They are Guggenheim. They cut like an absolute dream. You will see me using leaders and enders, which is a tip I picked up from my mom. She is a quilter, as I have mentioned, and loves to use every single scrap of fabric and every inch of thread. I will put a link in the description to an article about leaders and enders. You can use these to not only save your fabric from getting mangled by the machine, but bit by bit you can sew these tiny scraps together and end up with a quilt. That's what my mom is doing with hers, so she gave me squares and rectangles to sew together in a specific pattern. Okay, I'm trying it on over this dress that I just happen to be wearing today because it does have a waist right at my natural waist because I designed it that way. So I will now be able to more accurately figure out the vents, and I have determined that they are too short. They can come up, feels like about ½ an inch. I don't know how well you can see this. I can't see a thing. And that should help with the fit at the front because this button is still going to be pulling from the waist if I don't fix it. The top 2 buttons should be just fine. They don't look like they're straining. But that bottom one really is. Okay, wow, it's even more than I thought. That is almost exactly an inch. Yep, that's an inch. Good thing I basted it. once more with feeling. Oh yeah, that'll work. Here's how it looks from the front. As you can see, I have actually pinned through the layers this time at the buttonholes, and I don't have a lot of pulling from that bottom button. There's a minimal amount, but I think it's gonna be fine. I think under a skirt, it's going to look okay. All done. Got the buttons on, it has a hem, and I even flat felled the seams around the arm size, which is always very fiddly to do, but for me, the results are worth it. I love how the sleeves look with that finishing, and don't have to worry about any raw edges, it's all enclosed. Looks very professional, especially with this fabric being a bit sheer. You can see how the seams are finished. I think my vents worked perfectly in the back. This blouse is shorter in the front than in the back, so I do kind of need to pull it down to make sure it does stay inside the waistband, but I am pleased with it. I think it has been successful, and I am very glad I got to use the remaining fabric because I love this fabric and these buttons so much. Well, I am now at my sister Gretchen's house. This is the last leg of my Iowa trip, and tomorrow we will be heading home. Gretchen is accompanying us so that I have an extra driver. My husband flew home yesterday, so he's already there, so he can go back to work. But we got to spend an extra couple days visiting Gretchen and her husband Noel, so we're doing fun aunt things. Yesterday we took the kids to the library and also the zoo. Today we went to a children's museum, and right now they are with their aunt at the splash pad, and I am staying here to rest up and recover a bit, get ready for the big drive tomorrow. That will be 2 days, so I will be home on Friday. Today's Wednesday. It's been a good trip, but I am very much looking forward to being home, being back in my own sewing studio and having all of my projects back at my fingertips. Gretchen does not sew, so she does not have a sewing machine, let alone a sewing studio. So the last couple days, like I said, have been focused on having fun with the kids and aunt and uncle time. Anyway, I will go ahead and wrap up the vlog here. We are well past the middle of July, so the second half of July will be a shorter half than the first one after I get back home and get back into the swing of things. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my travel adventures and hopping around. I have now slept in 3 different cities in the state of Iowa. Well, 1 town, 2 cities. But I'm looking forward to my own bed 2 nights from now. Anyway, I hope you're having a good one, and I'll see you soon. Bye. actually, the motorcycle. Obviously I am not sponsored. Ooh.